Norway. Population smaller than New York City, but they sit on a $1.5 trillion war chest. Every child born there is technically a millionaire before they even open their eyes. Now, look at Venezuela or Angola. These guys have 2 times the oil. They have diamonds, they have gold, but their people are starving. They are eating rats to survive. Why? You think it's luck? You think it's the weather? You think Norwegians are just smarter? Bullshit. It is not about resources. It is not about culture. It is about the rulebook. This is the $50 trillion question. Why do some nations skyrocket to the moon, while their neighbors, with the exact same starting conditions, remain trapped in the dirt? Economists like to use complex words to hide the truth. But today, we are going to burn the textbooks. Arizona, the average income is $30,000. You have paved roads. You have police that usually don't rob you. You have voters who actually elect their leaders. Now, throw a stone over the fence to the south side, to Sonora. The average income drops to 1/3. Infant mortality skyrockets. The roads are dirt, and the cartels run the show. Here's the kicker. The people on both sides, they are the same people. Same ancestors, same food, same culture, same climate. So why is one side buying iPhones and the other side worrying about clean water? The answer is institutions. In the game of nations, there are only 2 strategies. Strategy number 1, the inclusive engine. This is where the system encourages you to build, invent, and create, because you know nobody will steal your hard work. But then, there is strategy number 2, the extractive machine. I call it the vampire economy. This is designed for one purpose only: to suck the wealth from the many and funnel it into the pockets of the chosen few. If you are living in a country where you need a bribe to open a bakery, or where the billionaire's son becomes the Minister of Finance, congratulations, you are feeding a vampire. Let's dig deeper into this because it defies all logic. If you find a chest of gold in your backyard, you become rich. So if a nation finds oil or gold under its soil, it should become wealthy, right? History says, absolutely not. Let's travel back to the year 1500. Look at Spain. The Spanish Empire had just discovered the New World. They had the biggest jackpot in human history. Ships loaded with Aztec gold and Inca silver were sailing into Spanish ports every single week. They had mountains of money. Now, look at England at the same time. England was a wet, miserable island. They had no gold, no silver, just rain, sheep, and coal. Fast forward 300 years. Spain was bankrupt, broken, and irrelevant. England was ruling the world and leading the Industrial Revolution. How did the guy with the gold lose to the guy with the sheep? It's called the resource curse. And here is how the trap works. When easy money floods into a country, it destroys the incentive to work. The Spanish king didn't need to build factories. Why build anything when you can just buy it from abroad with your free gold? Spanish industry died. Spanish innovation died. They bought their clothes from England and their weapons from Holland. The gold flowed in to Spain, touched the king's hands, and immediately flowed out to pay the neighbors who actually worked. But in England, the queen had a problem. She was broke. To fight wars, she needed money, but she had no gold mines. So she had to do something humiliating. She had to ask her people for it. She had to tax the merchants and the landowners. And the merchants said, "Fine, we will pay taxes, but in exchange, we want to say, we want rights, we want a parliament." Do you see the difference? Scarcity forced the English kings to share power. It forced them to build legal systems to protect property so people would create wealth to tax. Abundance allowed the Spanish kings to be tyrants. They didn't need their people. so they didn't empower them. This is the lesson for 2026. If your government gets its money from the ground, like oil in Russia or Venezuela, you are in trouble. The social contract is broken. They don't need your taxes. Therefore, they don't need your vote. And they definitely don't need your opinion. To them, you are not a citizen. You are just a mouth to feed, a liability. And that is why the richest land is usually filled with the poorest people. Now, let's talk about the most painful part. Let's talk about you. The elites love to tell you a specific lie. They say, the reason our country is poor is because the people are lazy. Or, we just lack the education. That is absolute garbage. Let's run a mental simulation to prove it. Imagine Bill Gates. But imagine he was not born in Seattle, Washington. Imagine he was born in a slum in Caracas or a village in the Congo. This imaginary Bill Gates has the exact same brain. He has the same IQ, the same drive, the same genius for code. So, at age 19, he drops out of school to start a software company. What happens next? First, he needs to register his business. In the US, this takes 2 days and $20. In his country, it takes 6 months and a bribe that equals 2 years of salary. So, he can't do it legally. He starts working underground in a garage. He writes a brilliant piece of software. It could change the world. But now, he needs to sell it. To sell it, he needs a patent to protect his idea. He goes to the patent office, but the judge is the cousin of the Minister of Technology. They see the code, they like it, so they steal it. They give the patent to the minister's son, who owns a monopoly. Bill Gates tries to sue them, but the courts are bought, the police are bought. Suddenly, Bill realizes something terrifying. In this system, success is not a reward. Success is a target. If you build a nice house, the police notice you. If you build a profitable business, the mafia demands a cut. If you invent something new, the monopoly crushes you. So what does our genius Bill Gates do? Does he build Microsoft? Does he create trillions of dollars of value? No. He gives up. He spends the rest of his life fixing broken radios on a street corner for scraps. Or, if he is lucky, he becomes a taxi driver. It is not about talent. It is about incentives. Humans are smart. If the system punishes you for succeeding, you stop trying. And that is how a nation dies. Not with a bang, but with a silent surrender. So the question remains, why don't the leaders fix this? Why don't they just copy the laws from America or Switzerland or Japan? Are they stupid? No, they are not stupid. They are calculating. To understand their mindset, we need to understand a concept called creative destruction. Real economic growth is violent. For the new to live, the old must die. For the electric light bulb to succeed, the candle industry had to go bankrupt. For the car to take over, the horse carriage business had to be destroyed. In a free country, we accept this. We call it progress. But for a dictator or a ruling elite, creative destruction is a political nightmare. Let me give you a real historical example. In the year 1589, an Englishman named William Lee invented a knitting machine. It was brilliant. It could make clothes 20 times faster than by hand. He took it to Queen Elizabeth I. He expected a reward. Instead, she looked at him with horror. She said, "Consider what this would do to my poor subjects. It would ruin them by depriving them of employment, thus making them beggars." She refused to give him a patent. She effectively banned the machine. Why? Was she really worried about beggars? No. She was worried about stability. If the machine replaced the workers might riot. If the machine created a new class of wealthy factory owners, those owners might challenge her power. This happens today in every failing nation. The monopolies that control the country are the president's best friends. They own the banks, they own the telecom companies, They own the imports. They don't want competition. They don't want new technology. They don't want you to start a business that challenges them. They have a choice to make. Option A, be the absolute kings of a poor, stagnant country where nobody challenges them. Or option B, be just normal politicians in a rich, dynamic country where they might lose the next election. They choose option A every single time. They would rather slice a small pie entirely for themselves than let the pie grow and share it with you. Poverty is not an accident. It is a method of control. What is the natural reaction to all of this? You get angry. You want to fight. You say, "Let's storm the palace. Let's kill the dictator. Let's bring democracy." I have bad news. History shows us a pattern that is almost impossible to break. Sociologists call it the iron law of oligarchy. It goes like this. The rebels fight the tyrant. They are brave. They promise freedom. They promise bread. They finally win. They drag the dictator out of his golden bedroom and shoot him. But then, something strange happens. The rebel leader walks into the palace. He sits in the dictator's chair. It feels comfortable. He picks up the dictator's phone. He realizes it controls the secret police. He looks at the ledger. He sees the oil money flowing into the private accounts. And he thinks, well, I need this power to fix the country, just for a little while. 5 years later, he is the new dictator. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at the Soviet Union. Look at the Arab Spring. The faces change, the flags change, but the machine of extraction stays exactly the same. Why? Because the institutions were built to extract wealth, not to create it. If you change the driver, but you don't change the engine, the car goes to the same destination. This is the tragedy of the modern world. You cannot fix a broken nation just by swapping the politicians. You have to dismantle the entire structure of power, and almost nobody has the strength to do that. So, if the system is rigged, if the resources are a curse, and if revolutions usually fail, are we doomed? No, you are not doomed. Your country might be, but you are not your country. This brings us to the only solution that actually works. Stop waiting for a savior. Stop waiting for a good politician. He is not coming. You must build your own personal economy that operates outside their rules. I call this becoming a sovereign individual. You need to build a fortress that the vampire economy cannot touch. Step 1. The Amish hedge. Own things they cannot print and cannot turn off. Land, tools, skills, energy independence. If the power grid goes down, your wealth shouldn't disappear. Step 2. Unseizable money. If you keep your savings in their banks, you are funding their corruption, and they can freeze it in 1 second. You need assets that exist in the math, not in their jurisdiction. Yes, I am talking about Bitcoin, or physical gold held in your own hands. Step 3. The exit strategy. Never be a prisoner of geography. The smartest money in the world always has a second passport or a second residency. When the walls start closing in, you need a door that is already open. The question of $50 trillion has an answer. Nations fail because they punish success. So, your job is to build a life where they cannot punish yours. I have created a full guide on the 7 assets you need to survive the coming collapse. It is not for everyone, but it might be for you. Click the video on the screen right now. The clock is ticking. I'll see you there.